This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana makes car selling fast and easy from start to finish. Enter your license plate or VIN and get a real offer in seconds, down to the penny. If you accept, Carvana will come pick up your car from your driveway. Or you can drop it off at one of our car vending machines. Either way, you get paid instantly. It's fast, transparent, and 100% online. Car selling that saves your time. That's Carvana.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the gut reaction to the Atlanta Falcons versus Seattle Seahawks. At least I think that was the Atlanta Falcons. I'm pretty sure it was. Not sure if that was the Seattle Seahawks or not, because it didn't really matter who was going to be out there the way the Atlanta Falcons are playing this year. Gut reaction, that's what this is. This is usually a pretty emotional reaction and a time for all of us to vent. And, if this is your first time here, you'll realize that I get pretty emotional when I talk sports anyway. But this one, I had a couple of takeaways, a couple of scathing takeaways. And I guess what makes me the maddest is just the repetitive nature of the incompetence of this team. How are you that bad on special teams? I don't like to be hyperbolic. I really don't. And last year I said that was the worst coach defense at a high level I'd ever seen. And I still believe that. I really do. I don't watch everybody. Well, what about, the Carolina Panthers of 2009? I don't know. I don't watch them. Of the teams I've watched, this was the worst one I'd seen last year. This is the worst special teams unit I've ever laid eyes on. And it's bad week to week to week. And it costs you games. Do you get blown out 37-9 because of special teams? Yes, you do. When one of your units it's always failing you, it sucks the energy out of the rest of the team. I played soccer when we had a really bad goalie. And we'd be dominating a game, dominating it. And then a mistake would be made, and after 50 minutes, we'd be down 1-0. After 60 minutes, we'd be down 4-0 because the rest of the team just kind of goes, ugh, here we go again. 6-6. This team's not good enough to not take advantage of dominating a first half. The Seattle Seahawks, after 29 minutes, had 66 yards against the Atlanta Falcons defense and 3 points. And then for some reason, they go into a one-man front, drop 10, prevent defense with a minute left. I have no idea what that was all about. Talk about quitting. It was downhill from there, wasn't it? So I put it on the title. I put on the cover. Change has to be coming, right? It just has to be. I know there are so many, and we just saw it. It just feels like, will Arthur Blank make the right call, or will he wait a season too long? It has to be. I mean, I think someone said on X after I posted the link to this stream, this feels like the last game of Arthur Smith's tenure against the Saints, where they just gave up. If the team has given up, they're 4-9. The fans have given up. What are you doing here? I feel like change has to be coming. If it doesn't happen this week, then my prediction was always along the lines of it will be at the end of the season. But I will not be surprised if it happens this week, or at least after the Thursday night game. There is a Thursday night game coming, right? I haven't looked that far ahead, honestly. So I look at the schedule. It's 12-11 at Buccaneers. Is that a Thursday night game? It is. That's coming up this week. So get blown out by the Buccaneers and you've got a long week to get ready with a new staff. I don't know, but it's terrible. This is 8 straight losing seasons. And I feel like of those 8, this is the worst coaching job of the 8, because there's talent on this team. There's defense on the team. There's a pass rush on the team. There's weapons. Bijan Robinson might be one of the best Atlanta Falcons ever by the time he's done. There's a veteran offensive line. There's a Pro Bowl safety in the back. It's not the worst team on paper. It's one of the worst teams we've seen, though. I mean, would you disagree? I mean, we've seen some bleak times. We've seen teams give up on coaches. 0-5 start for Dan Quinn. Was that 2019? 2020 maybe? And we've seen them give up like that before. We know what it looks like. This is what it looks like. But this team has some talent. There's no reason this team should constantly be betrayed by special teams. If there's one thing to look forward to, special teams can't be that hard to make at least average. It can't be. Everybody else is about average. There's not that much difference between special teams around the league. It's just kind of there. Kickers, yes. A special return man, yes. Those show up every once in a while. But special teams, okay, you get inside 50 yards, you're going to make a field goal. You give up about 28, 29 yards per kickoff return. You average about 28, 29 for your kickoff return. And you average about 45 yards net per punt. And you return it about 6 yards. That's pretty standard. Not this team. Not this team. Double B Media. Next coach, I got a list. We will hit on that too. A list. Diana Rossini came up and said, these are the names. I'll run through them here. I was a little surprised that Clint Kubiak wasn't the first one on that list. I feel like he didn't make the first group. I'm not sure how she ordered them, but I think Clint Kubiak should be really high on that list. Now, this is your show too, so I want to say hello to some folks that have come in, especially who have come in nice and early. Terry, thank you for being a member. Be like Terry. Helps keep the lights on. He helps keep my forehead nice and shiny when it gets bleak. And Falcons fans, the casual Falcons fans, they tuned out this week. My God. My traffic on my website was bleak. So y'all being members like this really, really helps. The diehards helps out a lot during the tough times. Guys like Terry. And Terry says, I forgot there are two halves and the same issues plague us. Yeah. 6-6. I always screenshot the first halves because I like to see, where it is. And again, they had 66 yards when they went up 6-3. The Seahawks did. The Falcons were dominating that offense. And then they went and prevent. I don't understand that, but okay. 1 for 1, they had 73 to 57 rushing yards, 77 to 54, 150 to 111 in total yards. They had they had more time of possession, over 3.5 minutes, and they had a turnover, and it was 6-6. That's a problem. I mean, as I'm writing, I write the takeaways as they're happening because, and I had to make room for another special teams gaffe. The first field goal that Zane Gonzalez hits, almost blocked from his right side, the Falcons' right side of the protection. Almost blocked. I jumped. I was like, yeesh. The second one, blocked. Open up the third quarter. There goes, was it Rashid Shahi? Was he the one that did it? I don't even know. I just know it because it doesn't matter. It's not like you're going against prime Devin Hester out there. You just need somebody. The Falcons, Arnold Ebiketie grazed his hip. That was, diving and brushed him. Might not have even gotten him in flag. If it was flag football, he still would have scored. That's how bad coverages are. Kick a field goal and kick the ball out of bounds. Give him the ball on the 40. Well, that's actually an improvement. It's a disaster. It's unbelievable. I wish I was making as much money as him to be that bad. It's terrible. Terry, thank you so much for being a member. Be like Terry. Become a member of the Falcons podcast. We do special member-only videos too. It's not just a, hey, thank you. We do offer you some extra benefits as well. Air 8351, he says, Kyle Pitts is always in the vicinity of INTs. It's because he doesn't get very good separation, and you want to kind of force it to him. That's the main reason. He doesn't when he gets separation, we see him catch the ball in stride so infrequently. They did a nice ISO on him on a drag route where he came across. He comes in motion, is still never comes to a stop. They snap the ball. He turns it up. and he cuts in. He's never stopped. That's how he gets open. He is not an explosive athlete. He doesn't have a 40-inch vertical leap. He didn't have a 3.8 shuttle time. He's fast, but he's definitely one of those, an object at rest will stay at rest unless, altered by an outside force. He's not twitchy. He's fast and he's long, and you've got to keep him moving, but he doesn't get much separation from defensive backs. So there's a lot of deflections in there. There just are. So, and to Ayers, thank you for being a member too. Ayers is also a member out here. So let's say hello to some folks that came in nice and early. James, he says, it's so embarrassing. This was our first comment. He says, Blank is going to fire Morris. It'll probably be after next week game because it's a Thursday night game, right? Yep. I read this comment and just looked it up. Yep. Special teams, again, a disaster. Yeah. I mean, the definition of insanity, right? Why would you think, we really like the way he was asked about that? Why does Ike Hilliard get fired and Marquise Williams still has a job? Because we believe in the way that Marquise Williams communicates with the players. So what I read into that was Ike Hilliard was not on board. It was undermining the head coach. Okay, you're fired for that. Fine. But at what point do results matter? We don't make emotional decisions. Well, we don't make logical decisions either. It's illogical to keep this guy out there calling special teams. It doesn't make any sense. It's illogical, but it feels good. It feels good. I'm Arthur Blank, and I've got a very happy, well-paid crew, and my profits are up, and my value of my franchise keeps going up and up and up and up. What a great businessman I am. If you're a businessman, you got to be happy as the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, right? If you're a competitor, you got to be pissed. If you're a competitor, is Arthur Blank a competitor? I don't know. There needs to be some uncomfortable people in that building. Curtis, thanks for being a member, my friend. He says, I knew the game was over when they scored on opening kickoff. Yeah, again, the momentum changing. This team isn't good enough on offense for the defense to not win the game for them. And the defense is, here we go again. That's just the way it is. It's human nature. The first time I remember watching it was 1998. I was 25 years old, formative years as a professional, and I was watching the Auburn Tigers, they had a really good defense, but they were 3-8 that year, I think. And I remember thinking that a 3-and-out was a positive outcome because they'd either turn it over or go backwards 15 yards. Their offense was so bad, and you just watch it. The defense can only hold strong for so long before they inevitably cave. Well, that was just the offense. When the offense and special teams are both playing against you, and then you're going to throw some turnovers in there as well, this is a 37-9 game. And frankly, the defense did enough that they can't do it by themselves. If you've got any kind of complementary football, the defense is good enough to win games, but not when they're playing against the other two units of this team. It's crazy. OMT, good to see you. He says, I'm going to get a 15 backup beer. I'll be back in a few minutes. We'll be here. Austin says, it's about as ugly as it can get. Jeff, he says, the special teams is an embarrassment. Mike Hughes in coverage is a joke. It is. Keith, thanks for being a member. He's here. He just says, wow. Captain Misanthropy, Marquise Williams and Raheem have to be gone today. How about Zach Robinson? Again, why? How do you get all these yards and still lose games? 1 for 13 on third down. Let's forget that. That's just not even, they probably do. If you turn the ball over on third down, that counts against you too. So I will say that I don't remember when the fumble, the interceptions, and all that stuff came, if it was third down or not. It's 1 for 13 on third down. Those are turnovers. It's turning the ball over. 1 for 13. It's the worst third down team I remember ever seeing as well. They were 30th, I think, coming in at 33%. I think they're 30.1%. 1 divided by 13 is what? 8%? It's unbelievable. We're bad, but James Pierce Jr., Defensive Rookie of the Year. Deshaun, I was hoping he'd stat pad a little bit, and I was worried when I saw him get hurt. I was like, dude, just go get a couple meaningless sacks and stat pad a little bit. Yeah, James Pierce Jr. is up to 6. He's got the rookie lead all by himself. And more importantly, he's got sacks in 5 straight games. So he's being consistent. He's getting pressure. He's not just getting, just getting a cleanup sack here and getting his ass kicked for the other 50 plays of the game. He's playing really well. And didn't see much of Jalen Walker out there today. And I watched the first half really closely. And then after that kickoff return, I kind of start writing and I'm watching so I'm not focusing on every single player during the game. I did not see a lot of Jalen Walker. Leonard Floyd was out there. I saw Arnold Bichetti. I saw Caden Ellis out there at edge with the 3-4. Caden Ellis was playing a left outside linebacker with Ronnie Harrison and Divine Diablo out there. So they may have felt they were a little short-handed today. Terry, good to see you. Afternoon, ATL. That's all, y'all. Coach Scott, appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. So this should be the end of it. It should. And John says, can't help but laugh at this team. I laughed all game. Tell me, what was your reaction when, let me get his name right. Which Rashid was it? Apologies. I should know this. The kickoff return. Who was that did that? So when I say him again, touchdown, 0 plays, 0 yards, 12 yards. Shaheed. Okay. That's what I thought. When Shaheed returned it, when you saw him hit that line where it's like he's obviously, what was your reaction in the moment? Was it an eye roll, here we go again? Or is it, oh no? Or was it just go ahead and score, man? Run these guys out of the building. Go, get them out of here. Keep going. Curious what your reaction was to this game. Robert, yeah, Falcons are bad. Yes, they are. Evan, he says, I hope Blank can see what a great head coach Clint Kubiak would be. Let's hit on a couple of the Dan Orsini of The Athletic. She listed, I don't know what order this is in any particular order, but she listed Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy. Isn't that the same Matt Nagy that was with the Bears? Am I completely wrong on that as I'm all fired up and my brain's getting mixed up? 49ers DC, Robert Salah. Colts defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, Broncos defensive coordinator and former Broncos head coach Vance Joseph, Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, Seahawks OC Clint Kubiak, Rams DC Chris Shula, Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady, and Jags defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile. Those were the assistants that they were talking about. Now, there's guys that are out of work right now or from the college ranks, et cetera, that you look up. But, out of that bunch, I want Kubiak. And again, I want to, again.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Jay Kelly, the new film from Academy Award nominee Noah Baumbach. George Clooney stars as an actor confronting his past and present on a journey of self-discovery, alongside Adam Sandler as his devoted manager. Critics are calling it a declaration of love to the chaotic art of filmmaking, with the Wall Street Journal praising it as a transcendent comedy drama. Jay Kelly is now playing only on Netflix.
Scott, I don't know everything about this at all. I'm looking at the high level. I'm seeing a guy who is 6'6", 280 pounds, jump through the gym, and I go, I want to know more about that guy. As a scout, I want to know more about this guy. I see Clint Kubiak having a phenomenal offense with a flawed but talented quarterback, and not a Superman like Aaron Rodgers in his prime or Josh Allen, but Sam Darnold, who has struggled in various places. I see balance. I know he calls the plays. It's his offense. That's what I see. So I'm interested. I want to know more. He's, for me, is the first guy I want to know more about, and I would be on there. So, but John says, are there any candidates from the college ranks? Probably. I don't know the college. I don't watch college football nearly as much as I used to. I used to always say as soon as they'd go to a playoff, I'd start watching when the playoffs start. When you don't take guys, when you take a team from a conference that didn't even play in its conference championship game, I start losing interest. And, they wonder why the championship games other than the SEC don't do as well. Well, there you go. You're tanking. So I don't know the college ranks nearly as well. it's just such a different game. I know, philosophically speaking, I don't necessarily like the coaches from the power programs because they're just out talenting guys. Signetti at Indiana is very different. He's also, I don't know that he's going anywhere. He can obviously coach. The man can coach. But I don't know the college ranks nearly as much. Randy says, they make me sick, go dogs from Tifton. Dave Chappelle's voice, they stink. Good to see you. And, we can always, JLT coming in, he says, we can predict the outcome here. Got to find a way. Yeah, I have a feeling if he's asked about making changes at special teams, he won't be quite as smug. I kept this up and I put it on Twitter. So let me, this was last week. He was asked, I hit video file. Why aren't you playing? Upload video file, because it's on a different hard drive and it takes a second for that one to spin up. Video file, cuts. This was last week when Raheem Morris was asked, would you consider making a special teams change?
Making a change with your coordinator, a possibility.
You love to get rid of people today. Like, we don't make emotional decisions. We know that. We won't talk about those things. We never do that. That's not our code. That's not our ethics. That's not who we are. That's not what we are. It's not our decision. That's not what we do today.
Okay, I understand. We're not going to make a change in a press conference right after that. It was a poor answer. It looks bad after the fact. I have a feeling he'll handle that a little bit better when he's asked today. We're all under the microscope. Nobody is safe when you're 4-9. We'll take it all into account. I may not be doing anything. My hands might be tied. I may not be allowed to fire him because I don't know how Marquise Williams still has a job anyway. Should have been fired at the end of last year. Still there. So I don't know why he still has a job. Raheem Morris might not be allowed to fire the guy, as far as I know, because it doesn't make any sense that he's there. We don't make emotional decisions. We don't make logical ones either. We make feels. We come in on our feels on that one. Antonio Langford coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much for the super. I'll check the chat also to see if you had anything to say or if it's just support for the show. I certainly appreciate it. It helps keep these lights on. I turned them back on today because it's dark and dreary. The Seattle fans probably felt right at home today in this weather. If a few of them traveled in, it's not quite like having the Bears or the Steelers or the Packers in town, but or the Cowboys with as many, Dallas and other fans. But it was still going to be mostly Seahawks fans there today. And Trenton says, I was pissed when Raheem said that about Williams last week. It's the first time I've ever questioned his integrity on that. And Youssef saying, at this point, the only reason I watch is because of James Pierce Jr. And, and I just love watching Bijan Robinson. If you like football, you like watching Bijan Robinson play football. I don't want him to play anymore. You've got a pending free agent coming in, Tyler Algier. I want to keep as much tread on the tire. Bijan has no reason to play for this team right now. God forbid something happens to him. Man, I do not at all want something to happen. So Sam says the Bucs lost to the Saints. So that did that really happen today? I haven't really looked. I wasn't keeping up with other scores while I was getting the show together and everything, and writing that up to have it ready. The Bills came back and won. That was a good game. The Vikings blanked the Commanders. Well, Dan Quinn's going to be in some trouble too. Dolphins crushed the Jets, and the Saints 3-10 beat the Buccaneers. And now the Panthers. When do the Panthers play then? Are they off? The Panthers are off this week. They finally get their bye. Good Lord. It's almost Christmas. And they'll be playing for first place here any second. And it looks like 9-8 could win the division again. That too much to ask for the Atlanta Falcons? Yes, it is. They haven't been 500 in almost a decade. So finishing 9-8 may be too much for this team. It may be. Let me see here. B-side, good to see you. Always has great comments and a good member of the community. Says Morris can't fire Williams for bad results because then he'd have to be accountable for his bad results. And here's the thing, y'all. When you don't hold people accountable, everybody else sees it. They all see it. Everybody out there, the 53-man roster, the 17 on the practice squad, including Lenny Craig, they all see it. They all see this guy's getting away with being awful. What am I breaking my neck for? This is a dangerous game. This isn't just, this, as much as I love baseball, I can go out and get mine on a bad team. I can go have a 4-for-4 game and get beat 11-1. And I had a good day. Man, it ain't like that. This game's dangerous. You think David Onyemata is giving it his all? You think Jesse Bates right now is going 100%? Any of them? When they see that Marquise Williams units are still going out there? Horrible. Just horrible. Let's see here. Trenton says, about 2 minutes, have to find a way is coming. Yeah, find a way. I would like to think that, I interrupt Nick all the time, and it gets pointed out to me, and every time I do it, I still hear it in my head. Stop interrupting Nick. When someone points out to you, hey, you say that all the time, it sounds off alarms in your head before you start to say it again. You would think at this point Raheem Morris would, as he'd start to say, find a way or figure it out, he would hear it in his voice and say, I need to say something else. I'm becoming a meme. I'm becoming a caricature. 17 points in 2 weeks is crazy. Antonio, thanks again for the super chat. 17 points in 2 weeks is crazy. And again, 1 for 13 on third downs will do that for you. It's this team. Is this the most talented bad team that we've really watched? We've watched a lot of bad football in Atlanta. There's some playmakers on this team. And, and CBR has a question about a couple of those. He says, do you think we lose Bijan or Drake due to either of them being unhappy, like Saquon Barkley and the Giants, or desperate for draft picks? Do I think you will? That is one of the good things about Arthur Blank. If you're my age and you grew up with the Smiths, enjoy Drake London for one more year because then he's going to be gone. They won't re-sign him because they can't really afford to or won't spend the money, and he'll be gone. So enjoy your star players while you can because they're leaving. Do you think you'll lose them? No, I don't necessarily think so. But when we start talking about building up trade draft picks, if you've got a new general manager coming in, one way to do that is to lay out the first level of free agency this year and hope to get some comp picks, but that's for 2027, which I know that sounds like 100 years away, but it's really only 2027 is what? We're in December now, 13 months away from 2027. So it's just right around the corner. Bijan would get good picks, but Christian McCaffrey went like that, and he went for a second, third, fourth, and fifth. They got 5 picks for him and not a first. That's the equivalent of a first as far as I'm concerned. But Drake would get more than that. And you have to know, can I re-sign these guys? I need to know I need to be in touch with and I'm sure they are, the Falcons are. What's it going to take? When do we start talking these conversations? Because if I can't re-sign him, if he's going to ask for too much or he doesn't want to be there, then I need to move him. Then I absolutely need to move him. So those are the things. And if I'm always answering the phone, hey, this is so-and-so from the Chargers. We want to offer you 3 first-round draft picks for Drake London. Okay, that might be an offer I can't refuse. I always need to listen. I don't want your whole idea is to draft, develop, and sign and keep. You want to keep these guys in the program. That's your whole goal of drafting. So I don't want to lose Bijan Robinson. I don't want to lose Drake London, but that might be the reality anyway. So I don't know. If I'm Bijan Robinson or Drake London, I can make a bunch of money for any team. Do I want to keep playing here? Bijan might not have as much choice. He would, you'd franchise tag him for sure. And that's not back-breaking type of money. And running backs only have so much life cycle. I mean, there's only a few Adrian Petersons out there, Saquon Barkley's out there that keep playing at that level for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They're pretty rare. Drake can be a Pro Bowl wide receiver for the next decade. So you could get 2 first-round picks for him and then turn around and not have to pay $30 million plus per season. But draft picks are draft picks. They're all fun and games, but how often do you get a Drake London when you make your draft pick? You're just as likely to end up with a Kyle Pitts. So you don't want to, again, would I trade the Rams? Would I trade James Pierce Jr. to the Rams for the number 9 pick right now? Probably not. Probably wouldn't do it. You've been wanting a guy like this forever with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know that there's been a guy like this for, an edge rusher. John Abraham, traded a first-round pick for him. So you don't want to move them, but you might have to. So, but no, you don't necessarily want to. CBRN10 coming back to back here. So thank you, my friend. He says, nightmare scenario. Do you think it's possible Raheem and Zach keep their jobs using the panic injury excuse or hasn't had enough time? Whatever excuses. I think Robinson's toast. I don't think there's any way he is back with this team. I'm at the point now where I'll be surprised if Raheem Morris is still coaching 2 weeks. And I'll be really surprised if he is, last regular season game is, let's see, schedule. I don't know when it is. Week 18. Last regular season game, week 18 is January 7th. So that's week 18. What's the Monday after January 7th? I'll be a little surprised. January 7th. How can that be the last week? I don't know what's going on with this calendar. I feel like the 4th should be the last week then. I'll be a little surprised if he is still coach on January 5th on that Monday. That's where I am with this. There has to be a change coming. There just has to be. Wrote it up today. I'm like, there's a lot of reasons why he shouldn't still be the coach. The stubbornness with special teams is one of them. That's a big one. His inability to come in and fix the problems that are so apparent. Who's correcting? If I've got a problem with Zach Robinson, how do I fix it? Who's correcting that? Where's the old head? Everything's a collaboration. Well, how am I fixing that? Went 0 for 3. My special teams coordinators that I hired when I started were Jimmy Lake, Zach Robinson, and I kept Marquise Williams. That's 0 for 3, and not just 0 for 3. That's a really bad 0 for 3, man. That's a really, really bad 0 for 3. So I don't see it happening. I'm going to scroll down here towards the bottom and start working my way back up to make sure. Tiff has a question. He says, who do you want the Falcons to draft? I don't know the names well enough to say, okay, this is the guy I really want, but they're going to be in the 40 range, 38 to 40 range. What's Tankathon say right now? If they update it, I don't know if they do it in real time. Tankathon, NFL, Falcons, let's see, Atlanta. I don't know if they update it in real time. It still says 42, and it says Christian Miller, 6'4", 305 out of Georgia. But for me, the biggest needs on this team are wide receiver. I mean, you see Kirk Cousins back there, and he lines up 4 wide, and it's Darnell Mooney, Dylan Drummond, David Sills, and Kyle Pitts is your 4 wide set. Good Lord, man. Let's take Dylan Drummond out of there and put Drake London. That's starting to look a little better. Kyle Pitts isn't going to be here next year. That'll shock me. If Kyle Pitts is an Atlanta Falcon in 2026, I will be shocked. So Drake London, Noah Fant at tight end. I don't know. So, let's throw in a name here of a just another guy who's making $7 million at tight end, if you want to go that direction. And you still have practice squad guys. David Sills is a practice squad guy. Dylan Drummond's a practice squad guy. Darnell Mooney's not going to be here next year either. You save $7 million by moving on from him. You think you want Darnell Mooney with an $18 million dead salary cap hit next year? No freaking way. He's gone too. So wide receiver 1. Cornerback for me is probably the second biggest priority on as far as a high draft pick goes. It's a more premium position. And then defensive line, defensive tackle is arguably as a bigger need than corner. I still think corner is a huge need, but a big defensive tackle in there that can load up and space it and be stronger against the run. I still think corner. I think the Falcons can win with numbers on the defensive line. They don't have the numbers at cornerback. So for me, the two biggest needs are cornerback and wide receiver, and I want them both addressed in free agency too. I want a free agent corner and I want a free agent wide receiver, unless a new guy comes in and says, we're going to sit out and try and play the comp pick game when we lose Tyler Algier, possibly Caden Ellis, because linebacker is a big need too. Leonard Floyd, David Onyemata, Kyle Pitts. Those are all guys that are free agents after this year. So always, to look at. But I want wide receivers my number one priority this off season. You're not if you were to say quarterback, I'd understand. But that's not going to be addressed this offseason. Not seriously, not with like a first round pick, obviously, and then not with it's hard to hit quarterbacks in free agency. It really is. Mike, good to see you, and thanks for being a member. He said, I just joined. Have they fired the special teams coach yet? I'm afraid how I might have reacted. I probably would have just totally imploded and gotten like super quiet and just withdrawn in myself. If I was the head coach when Rashid returned that for a kickoff return, because kickoff return for a touchdown, because it's either that or I'm going to go over there and I'm going to tell him to get out. Just leave right now in front of everybody. Go, you're fired right now. Don't come back. If he is still the special teams coordinator, might not fire him. They might just reassign him. If he is still the special teams coordinator on Tuesday, something is seriously messed up. This goes way beyond, again, like, is there a nepotism factor in here that we don't know about? What is going on? Because this is arguably the worst special teams unit I've watched in the NFL. And the Falcons could, just like I always said, they always had running backs growing up. The Falcons were bad, but William Andrews and Gerald Riggs, this carried us through the 90s. Those are fantastic. Those are all pro Hall of Fame guys if they're playing for the Giants, the 49ers, or Cowboys. We at least had those guys. Had kickers, Matt Bryant, Morton Anderson, years and years and years. Had good special teams return men. I mean, obviously Prime was here. Devin Hester had a cup of coffee here. And in coverage units, it's supposed to be a fluke, really, when somebody returns a kick for a touchdown. That happens once every few seasons. Back-to-back weeks? Are you joking? It's awful. It's just awful. NFL teams are required to spend on players. Yeah, they have to hit a salary. There's a cap and a floor. So you can do that as well. For sure. Let me see. Jalen Walker is a bust. West Coast 6543. You're probably not going to last in here that long. West Coast. We don't mind the discussion on here, but if you're just here to, talk trash, and we're not interested, but Jalen Walker is a bust and you gave your first round pick to the Rams. Well, the pick they use from the Rams is James Pierce Jr., and he's got a legit chance of being defensive rookie of the year. And Jalen Walker is hardly a bust. Anybody feel like Jalen Walker is a bust in here? You want to say Kyle Pitts? We can have that argument. You want to say Michael Penix? We can make that argument. But Jalen Walker has been playing really well. Now he's second in the NFL in sacks because James Pierce Jr. just took the lead. Gave your first round pick to the Rams for a defensive rookie of the year. That sounds okay to me. Yeah, I'll give away. I'll do that every year. Be pretty happy. Maurice, good to see you. Marquise Williams get promoted to head coach because we like the way he talks to players. Isn't that unbelievable? Isn't that unbelievable? Why did Ike Hilliard get fired and Marquise Williams not? How is he still employed? Because the communication aspect. And again, what that says to me, and I'll repeat this, is Ike Hilliard lost his temper and was undermining the head coach, understandably. I mean, you can't undermine the head coach, and you're supposed to bitch up, not down. So you don't talk to the players about your problems. You bitch up the chain of command. Learned that from Saving Private Ryan, right? That it's understandable if Ike Hilliard's undermining the head coach, the head coach fires him. Okay, whether he's right or not, it doesn't matter. I've had those discussions in the corporate world where I don't last very well either. It's like, but you're right, Scott. You got to push this. I'm like, it doesn't matter if I'm right. If the guy who's in charge disagrees, it doesn't matter if I'm right. Got to do what the guy writing the check wants. He's got the job. He's writing the check. He's given the grade. Doesn't matter what I think. Got to play ball. Not if you can afford to get fired, and I could rather be somewhere else. You get the impression from Ray McLeod that he's kind of enjoying what's going on after he got cut for probably dissent. Also, I guess that's a good soccer term for it. You get a yellow card for dissent. That means, yelling at the referee. Got a yellow card for dissent. That but we're talking about why is Marquise. We have a lot of faith in what Marquise does and the way he communicates to the players. Holy cow. ABH coming back in. He says, definitely not a bust. Both good players, not worth the capital you gave away, but respectively, Amenawari is Defensive Rookie of the Year. I haven't watched. I looked him up because I know when we were talking safeties, he was a guy that we would trade back for, and he's a freak as far as the testing, the size, speed, and everything. So haven't watched him more, but the sack numbers. If you want to go interceptions, Xavier Watts is probably leading the league in interceptions for rookies, so he's going to be in there. And then you've got 1 and 2 in sacks in Atlanta. So. But, again, but both good players, but not worth the capital you gave away. I disagree. Again, I disagree. I don't have any problem with the trades for James Pierce Jr. That's going to end up being a top 10 pick for a rookie contract edge rusher who's got Pro Bowl potential and Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's worth a top 10 pick. They didn't just that's what they used to get him. And then you swapped a second and a third. You sent the second, which the Rams used on a tight end, and the Falcons used on Xavier Watts, who's going to be on every all-pro, all-rookie team you can possibly find. So the Falcons sent number 8, let's call it number 8 in 2026, and a second-round pick for 2 guys that are going to be all rookies and 1 possible Defensive Rookie of the Year. What's the problem? Yeah, I got no problem with how that trade turned out. I didn't have a huge problem when it happened either. You better hit. That's the thing. And you better hope you don't need a quarterback. But hell, I don't see a quarterback in this damn draft anyway. Mike, and Mike brings us up. He says, can't have a winning season. Now what? Yeah, you're 4-9. That is cements it. It cements it. That's the 8th straight losing season, 8th straight without playoffs. And frankly, as far as the job the coaching staff did, this is probably 8th. The number 8 out there, because again, this team has some talent. You can say, oh, the quarterback did him in. Well, Michael Penix lost a bunch of games too. And Kirk Cousins, that's not where we want to talk about wasting resources, $100 million on a 36-year-old coming off an injury quarterback and then backing him with the number 8 overall, and you still don't have quarterback play worth a darn. That's a problem. That's a big problem, and that's going to cost Zach Robinson his job this year, and they're going to need somebody in there that's got some skins on the wall, is a popular phrase, of developing quarterbacks, of getting the most out of their quarterbacks, like, say, a Clint Kubiak. I'd love to see you. Michael Penix is going to be the quarterback next year. He's going to get a chance. I need to see him play for somebody that's got a history in the NFL of having some good offenses, because Zach Robinson doesn't. He was a rookie coordinator. So now what? Now we watch James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker duel it out for trying to get rookie of the year, and they may end up splitting the vote and Emmanuel Warrior gets it. Might happen. But they're going to finish top 5. Can they finish 1-2 in rookie sacks? That'll be fun to watch. Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey are going to go neck and neck for scrimmage yards for the scrimmage yards title. And remember, when Bijan Robinson gets his Pro Bowl this year, it's going to cost the Falcons an extra $4 million on his 5th-year option of his rookie deal. $4 million for making the Pro Bowls against the Falcons salary cap. So you're kind of rooting for the snub. I don't want to take $4 million out of Bijan's pocket, but he's going to make plenty in endorsements and all of that stuff too. But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Bijan Robinson were to not, if he were going to get snubbed. Talking about the Carson S. Is he the linebacker? I knew there's a linebacker that was doing it well too. And as far as locked up, I don't know that anybody has it locked up. Is that Carson Schweisinger? Remember his last name because do y'all remember was it Corey Schleisinger, the fullback for Nebraska on that 95 team? Do y'all remember him? Going way back here. Halsey says the quarterback injuries really make it clear the Falcons need to prioritize quarterback. They're going to have to get another quarterback in, but they're not going to be able to spend high on it. They don't have a first-round pick, and they're not going to have the free agency money to do it. They'll have a number 8 pick on the roster, and they'll have a $35 million dead cap hit from another quarterback. They've spent. Now they got to pray that it works out with Michael Penix next year for sure. Fernando Mendoza. I haven't watched a ton of those guys yet. As far as it goes, I haven't watched a ton of college football. I just haven't. Let's see. West Coast Bijan is wasting his talent. He won't ever win anything with the Falcons. Yeah, that's not a huge stretch since the Falcons haven't won anything. Period. Falcons can't wait 10 years to find a quarterback because the roster needs. LOL. I'm not sure what you're laughing at. I'm wondering how you expect the Falcons to go after a quarterback next year. Who's going to be available that they can really go after in free agency? They don't have a first-round draft pick. So how does that happen? LOL. I don't know. LOL. Mike, good to see you again, Mike. Says dogs looked really good last night at Mercedes-Benz. Yes, they did. They looked. You want to see what an inspired team looks like when they're playing for each other, when they're going out there. That's what it looks like when a team's playing for its coach in front of a crowd that's going berserk. It's fun to watch, and I've told y'all before. I went to Auburn. I met Kirby Smart. I think when he was a GA. It's been a long time ago. I met him when he was first starting as a GA at Georgia. Then he went to Miami and came back to Georgia or whatnot, and then he ended up with Saban for most of that time at Alabama. So basically, I don't like Georgia and I don't like Alabama. That's just kind of how I grew up. Now I don't really care. I love Kirby Smart, and I end up rooting for Georgia because of Kirby Smart. Rooted for Alabama because of Kirby Smart when he was there. Love him. Kirby Smart is fantastic. Big fan here. Talking about Jameis, let's go get Jameis Winston. Rudy says it. Let us says it at the same time. Let us praise sports. Rudy says it on Facebook. Y'all didn't even know you said it at the exact same time. I'd take Jameis here. That'd be fun. Chris Walker says the Falcons need to upgrade the offensive line. Whoever winds up at the quarterback. Yeah, speaking about needs, right tackle's a need. You can save a little money by moving on from Caleb McGarry in the offseason. There's no guarantee he's going to come back. And he wasn't a Pro Bowler to begin with over there at right tackle. He was a mid-priced veteran on a second contract. And Jake Matthews is getting older. Newsle's okay. Lindstrom's really good. And Bergeron's okay. Probably a shade better than okay, but not great. But right now, I don't think they're nearly as weak as the wide receiver room. The wide receiver room, when Drake's not in there, the wide receiver room is arguably the worst in the NFL. That hurts. that hurts for sure. Have they done? I didn't even look and see. Have they done the playoff thing for? I figured that'd be tonight. I didn't even know when that was. the playoff committee still found a way to sneak Bama in. I haven't even looked at it, honestly. I've been watching college football here the whole time. Let's see. I didn't click on that one, so I'm not sure what you were agreeing to, David, but I appreciate it. But Cody says, can we keep Diablo? Yeah, he signed a did he sign a 3-year deal with 2 guaranteed, or was it a 2-year deal with 1 year guaranteed? For some reason, I thought it was a 2-year deal with 1 fully guaranteed season. So you basically have the option on him next year. I thought it was a 2-year deal. Where's Diablo? Let me double check on that. 2-year, $14 million with 7 guaranteed. That basically means 1 year contract with a club option. Players do not like to play on non-guaranteed money because that means if they get hurt, you can cut them and you don't owe them any money. It's tough. So you might want to try and sign him to some more guaranteed cash. But Diablo should and will be an Atlanta Falcon next year. I'll be pretty surprised on that one. All right, so what's his name here? West Coast here just got himself kicked out. We'll go ahead and say ban and delete your comments. Sorry, but just listen. Hey, I like having conversations with other people, but I said it's really hard to trash talking a Falcons fan. What can you say to a Falcons fan that's going to be more hurtful than what their own team does to them? This is an abusive relationship. Oh yeah, you guys suck. Yeah, we know. Oh, you really, that was really stupid doing it. Yeah, we know. Man, your special teams coach is a moron. Yeah, we know. We know. It's okay. So what are you going to say to a Falcons fan? For goodness sakes. Anthony says the offense is just chopped up and injured. Yes and no. They had the big injury with Caleb McGarry to start. And if you were a Darnell Mooney apologist, you might say, well, he started the season injured too, but they weren't that good. I don't blame injuries for how bad. 1 for 13 on third downs. I don't blame injuries for how bad this offense has been this year. There's been some injuries, yes, but you watch every other team, there's been some injuries around the league. There's a lot of people that are injured. And you figure it out. You find a way. You figure it out. You find a way. And the level of ineptitude from the quarterback play goes beyond the injuries. It goes to, and frankly, I got to get a better offensive coordinator before I know what I got at quarterback. I really do. David says Mooney injury was the same as his play. He got hurt on the first. You were really looking forward to what he could do with a quarterback that could throw it long. And then even when he got back, he's not doing anything. Did he? I don't even remember him catching the ball today. He got robbed of a touchdown. That absolutely should have been a touchdown. I was like, well, what's establishing your, getting back into the field of play? Both feet were in bounds when he caught the ball. And when your shoelace goes out of bounds by the blade of a piece of plastic, then yes, someone leaning on you is enough to force you out of bounds. Should have been a touchdown. Of all the stupid things, let me get mad again. Of all the stupid times the Falcons have thrown the red flag on a challenge, why not there? God. Atlanta receiving, Darnell Mooney, 1 catch for 6 yards on 4 targets. Wow. 1 catch for 6 yards on 4 targets. And let's remember, he has an $18 million cap hit next year. 1 catch on 4 targets for 6 yards. Yes, he got robbed of a touchdown. Doesn't matter. That's inexcusable. That's inexcusable. We look at the targets here. Kyle Pitts had 10. Okay, that's good. Dylan Drummond, who just got elevated and has been on the practice squad. He was second on the team with 5. David Sills, 0 catches on 4 targets. Well, he only had about 10 catches in his career coming into the season. He's been a career practice squad guy. It's bad. It's really bad. So, Y'all, we're running at 54 minutes. I'm just about to get out of here. Just another reminder on YouTube, be a member. It helps out a lot. Again, there's times where this business ebbs and flows, and having a membership like that, it helps out. And I do try and provide value with hot takes during the week and members only videos on that. So give it a thought, give it a shot. If you don't like it, cancel. But give it a try on YouTube. It's in the description. And it's also, if you see join anywhere when you're watching on YouTube, that's a place to look. I want to say thank you to my Super Chat superstars. Terry has been a member for a month. Thank you, Terry, for the solid month since I started. So one of the very first on board. Air is a member and went with a super. Antonio came back-to-back supers. CBRN 10 with 2 supers as well. Mike is a member. Maurice is a member also. Mike came in a few times. And then Curtis is coming in at the last minute. Something is up in the wide receiver room for Hodge and Washington to be healthy scratches for 3+ games. I did see Hodge out there. Washington started and played like 200 snaps in the first 3 games and then was never seen again. Saw him on the sidelines looking morose. What's that do for morale? I mean, is he hurt? How do you go from being a starter to being a healthy scratch like that when you're not acquiring anybody, when you're just being replaced by other practice squad guys? You go from wide receiver 2 to wide receiver X, you're out. I mean, frankly, I don't think he was very good. I understand. What I don't understand is why they thought he was good enough to be a starter to begin with. There's all kinds of things going on, Curtis, that don't make sense. I've said it a few times today. Mocking Raheem Morris. We don't make emotional decisions. They don't make logical ones either. We know that. We know that. That's been going on for years. And every time the Falcons try and step outside of the box and do something different, it blows up in their faces. Defense, running game, special teams. Win. Don't turn the ball over. That's a simple formula. Don't overspend on one position. It's a fairly simple formula. So something is definitely up, I just put this together. Duh. Washington, what changed after those first 3 games besides Washington? Well, Ike Hilliard was out. So Washington hit the bench and Ray McLeod's cut. So there's definitely something up in that wide receiver room. Absolutely. You're 100% right, Curtis. There's a lot going on, and it'll be fun. Maybe I should reach out to Ray. And a lot of those guys, they don't want to talk until their career is over because, you start talking bad about one team, other teams look bad at you and say, I don't know that I want him. He's a problem, even if he's right. Again, it doesn't matter if you're right. Keep your mouth shut. So maybe when he hangs him up, we'll get Ray on the podcast and let him open up about his time as an Atlanta Falcon on that one. So thank you, Curtis, for coming in late. I'm going to get out of here. I will be back tomorrow morning on the Aftermath. We'll go through the press conferences, any fallout, see if there's any news between now and then. But I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:30. Hope you can join me. Appreciate so many people. We got over 400 people watching. This has been a hit, the gut reaction, since I've had time to do them. This fall, I will not be able to do one next week, though. I'm traveling for baseball. So not next week, but I will be back on Monday. And I will be back tomorrow. We'll go through some more of the stuff, maybe a little bit less emotional. But as I look back at this game, I'll probably end up getting more pissed off about how stupid the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. So on that note, I'm out of here, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy some football. See y'all tomorrow.